The father sat in stoic silence, his jaw tight against a day's frustrations, a monument to quiet endurance. Across the table, his daughter articulated a swirling panic about her future, each anxiety named and examined. Their shared stress manifested in alien languages. His childhood was a masterclass in suppression. Latchkey independence meant coming home to an empty house, the unspoken mantra, "handle it yourself," etched into his bones. Feelings were not discussed. They were obstacles to be overcome through sheer will. Her upbringing was a lexicon of emotion. From toddlerhood, feelings were validated, given precise labels, and therapy was a normalized tool. The core insight crystallized in the quiet kitchen. One generation learned to bury, the other to broadcast. This was their foundational emotional training, setting the stage for a lifetime of divergent reactions to the same world. In his glass-walled office, the Gen X manager faced the setting sun, his response to a missed deadline. A familiar, grim ritual. He silenced his frustration by diving deeper into spreadsheets, the glow of the screen a numbing agent. His loyalty to the company was unquestioned, yet his personal boundaries had dissolved long ago into the late-night coffee. At the adjacent desk, his Gen Z employee felt the same professional failure as a physical wave. Her mind spiraled through cascading what-ifs, a paralyzing overthink that left her hands hovering uselessly over the keyboard. By morning, she exercised a hard-won boundary, emailing for a mental health day. Where he appeared numb, steadfast in his silent endurance, she was visibly overwhelmed by the storm inside. Their daily reactions painted the contrast in stark relief. One buried stress in more work, the other sought space from it, each questioning the other's definition of dedication and self-preservation under the same corporate roof. The internal toll of these divergent trainings is a quiet, accumulating debt. For Gen X, decades of practice suppression exact a heavy price. A silent, corrosive resentment builds, not towards any person, but towards the sheer weight of unacknowledged burdens carried alone. This manifests not as a midlife crisis, but as a sudden, late-life burnout, a profound exhaustion where the body finally rebels against a mind that refused to listen. The most devastating cost is a profound, ingrained difficulty in asking for help, the very act feeling like a personal failure of their core philosophy. For Gen Z, the constant, curated emotional awareness and relentless social media comparison create a different kind of overload. The pressure to perfectly diagnose and articulate every nuanced feeling becomes a source of anxiety itself, leading to identity confusion amid a sea of possible labels. The hidden cost is an exhaustion from feeling too much, too openly, without the tools to simply endure a difficult moment without fully deconstructing it. The internal landscape becomes a minefield of overanalyzed sensations where quiet perseverance feels impossible. Neither path is superior. Each is a flawed adaptation. The Gen X fortress of resilience, built without emotional processing, becomes a prison of isolation. The Stoic who never learned to articulate a need eventually faces a silent breakdown, a collapse so internalized that no alarm sounds until the walls crumble from within. Their strength becomes their ultimate vulnerability, leaving them stranded on an island of their own making. Conversely, Gen Z's expansive awareness, devoid of practical coping skills, can lead to a different paralysis. With every feeling named and examined, anxiety can spiral into inaction, the weight of perfect emotional understanding preventing the messy, imperfect act of simply moving forward. The constant analysis becomes the obstacle. Thus, the generational divide reveals itself not as a conflict, but as a fragmented whole. Each holds a critical piece of the human puzzle the other lacks: the durable grit to persevere through discomfort, and the vital vocabulary to navigate the terrain within. One generation mastered survival through silence, the other seeks survival through speech. Neither way is complete alone. The hopeful integration began not as a grand gesture, but in a shared, quiet moment after a difficult day. The Gen Z daughter, seeing her father's familiar, tense silence, did not push for a conversation. Instead, she simply offered a single, gentle observation. That looks like frustration with maybe some helplessness underneath. The Gen X father, startled, initially retreated further into himself. But the precision of the words, devoid of pressure, created a tiny crack in his armor. Weeks later, facing her own spiral of anxious overthink, he reciprocated. He shared no profound wisdom, only a simple, practical strategy from his own survival manual. The act of mechanically moving forward for just 1 hour, focusing solely on the next physical task to quiet the mental storm. She taught him to name the silent beast in his chest. He taught her to walk steadily beside the one in her head. It was a slow, tentative trade of strengths. Gen X survived by staying strong. Gen Z survives by staying aware. Healing happens when we learn both.